and they seem pretty level with each other.
How did they keep them so level?
Well, they had to use a means of testing them. So we'll test them and see how good they are. Let's use the old levelling tool again.
Our old friend.
The rods and string.
Yes.
You place your end on that block there, and I'll try this block here. And we'll try your block first with the testing rod. Oh,
So that's
brilliant.
pretty good, isn't it? Pretty perfect.
That's good there, but this is the bit here. How's this level here? Oh, yes. You've got to have nothing but admiration for them.
So they've got it exactly right.
Absolutely right. So the blocks are level.
But that wasn't enough. For the pyramid to remain stable, the blocks had to be horizontal. Dennis had brought another ancient tool.
Now, we can use this A-frame to check whether the block is truly horizontal.
Horizontal, like a surface of water.
Yeah, in fact, we can use the surface of water to check that the frame is accurate. And we do this by marking a line behind the hanging plumb line.
So if your measurement is flat, then this will always hang absolutely vertically. And then you know the rock is horizontal.
Yes. So how is that now?
It's bang on. It's absolutely right in the middle. It's very good.
Very good.
But that's one thing. I mean, if you know the block is horizontal, that's fine. But surely you also need to know whether the sides are vertical.
Yeah, that's right, Jack. But they had another tool for this purpose.
And there was only one place to test it.
Now, this is one of the casing blocks that once covered the entire pyramid.
That's right, Jack. Because this casing block has to fit to its neighbour, the vertical face has to be truly vertical, and they could test it with this particular tool, which is called an F-frame. And by the way, this is the only place on the plateau that we can test whether a casing block surface is truly vertical. This is a simple tool. So long as this distance is equal to this distance and the plumb line is touching both the ends, then we can say that the surface is truly vertical. So how's it doing, Jack?
It's doing pretty well.
Then we can show that the surface is vertical.
Pretty simple, huh?
Well, they've got it right again, Jack.
But who were they? The ancient Egyptians were foremost farmers, yet the pharaohs were able to assemble a massive workforce. Until now, it was believed that the source of that manpower was slavery. But new evidence suggests otherwise. The pyramids were not built on the backs of slaves, but rather on devotion and commitment. Today, Aswan, the ancient capital of Nubia in southern Egypt, is a destination for all who are eager to explore the Nile. In ancient times, Aswan was first and foremost the source of special stones for a special purpose inside the tombs. Even today, the stone found here is prized. 5,000 years ago, granite blocks like these were quarried and shipped down the river.
While the quarry gangs toiled away, moving one mountain to build another, other crews worked here at the Pyramid Harbour. It was called a harbour because it was, believe it or not, full of water, connected by canal to the Nile. It was a scene of heaving activity, like a modern container port. For it was here that all the fine stones arrived by boat. Here the stones were unloaded and then hauled up the hill to the pyramids.
The ancients knew that the angle of the ramps was crucial. Between 6 and 7 degrees was perfect to defy gravity.
From the harbour, the stones were loaded onto sleds, which were then hauled up the hill, lubricated with powdered lime and water, reducing the friction by 90%. This is no hill. You want to haul a rock up?
I wondered who the people were who dragged heavy stones up to the pyramids day after day during the 20 to 30 years of construction that it took to build these giants. So I went to the foot of the Giza Plateau, where a graveyard is being excavated. It is the resting place of those who worked on the pyramids nearby. The graves provide a glimpse of the workers' lifestyle and hint at the social and economic importance pyramid construction held for the entire nation.
Dr. Hawass, what do the tombs tell us?
This is the first time actually that we know about the life of the workmen who built the pyramids. Before that, we know a lot about nobles and officials and kings and queens, but nothing about the common people who represent 80% of the nation in that time. And
Dr. Zahi Hawass, Secretary General of Antiquities, met with me to share the latest discoveries.
How was it that the Egyptians managed to get so many people working on such a colossal enterprise? Was this a system of forced labour, of coercion, or was it more a system of cooperation?
You have to understand one important thing, that the pyramid was the national project of the whole nation, the whole country. The 1,600,000, who actually was the number of population in Egypt in that time, dedicated their life to build that pyramid because it is for the king, who is actually the god.
So it's certainly not an army of forced slaves.
No, we believe that the number of the workmen was only 10,000 workmen. Maybe 1/3 was actually a permanent workman who worked for the king permanently. And the rest will be workmen, young people, who came through the support of the households in the Delta and in Upper Egypt.
Contrary to what has been assumed, evidence emerges that the basic workforce, the muscle power in the construction of the pyramids, were not slaves, but devoted farmers.
Every family had to send their share. You know, like today, if you go to any village in Upper Egypt or Lower Egypt, they do like the time of building the pyramid. If you try to build your house, you'll find that every day, every family in the village will bring you food. Building the pyramid was the same like this.
What about the Nile and the annual flooding that occurred? Did that affect the work on the pyramids?
It does, but it helped in working the pyramid because when the flood completely covered Egypt, there is no work for anyone.
What you've described here is really a small city. 10,000 people is a lot of people. How did they organize that?
A crew consists of 2,000 workmen. And they divide the crew to 2 gangs. Each gang consists of 1,000 workmen. Each gang had a name, like Friends of Khufu, Main Kawara is drunk. Each group had an overseer. Then the whole 10,000 were organized by groups, by gangs, by small groups. Then this whole organization could be very easy. They had a big area, like a canteen or for feeding all the workmen. You have all storage facilities to store all their equipment, the tools. Because each workman cannot own a tool. The tools were owned by the government. They have people who take care of their clothes. They have people who take care of their food. They have people who really prepare everything for them.
Like a pyramid?
Yeah. Why do you wonder all the time about building the pyramid? The administration of building the pyramid is more genius to anyone than really building the pyramid itself. And this is why the pyramids built Egypt. Because building this pyramid made them to know about art, technology, and science.
I came to realise how much of what the ancients knew reverberates across time while walking through modern Aswan. I happened to pass by a construction site where the techniques were strikingly similar to the ancient methods. Simple tools, muscle power and knowledge passed down for generations were all they needed to encase a slope. Strings are still used to keep the surface level. There, like a slice out of time, I saw what it may have looked like thousands of years ago in ancient Egypt. The Egyptian faith in an afterlife spurred not only science and technology, but commerce. Like modern Cairo, the workers' village required a huge amount of supplies on a daily basis. Many sought to fill those needs. And as their belief radiated out beyond the royal gravesites, it touched every aspect of Egyptian daily life. More and more people turned to supplying the demand, while generating a demand of their own. Undertaking and all aspects associated with it became a major industry. Incense, balms and ointments that had been the king's prerogatives were now also desired by the masses.
So then, I need an ancient perfume.
This is Ramses. This is stronger and fresh. You want something more stronger? Or lace or...
This one?
This is lotus flower.
Oh, it's very strong. It's a very strong flower. Okay.
Believed to be the scent of the gods, perfumed oils were applied to the skin for both cosmetic and medicinal purposes, and also used in the mummification process. So you could say that perfume was yet another invention we owe to the Egyptians' belief in the afterlife. They also created one of the world's most enduring fascinations. In the Cairo Museum, I saw some of the stunning results of the ancient undertakers' art and science. Though they are shocking in their stark reality, the mummies provide an invaluable record of the beliefs, the science, and the lives of the ancient Egyptians. 6 feet tall, 90 years old, the father of 100 children during a reign of 70 years, the legendary Ramses II surpassed all Egyptian rulers. The mummification process during Queen Nedjemet's time included the tucking of natron, a naturally occurring salt, in packages under the skin and into the body's hollows. When she was found and transferred up the Nile to Cairo, the natron that had once dehydrated her body absorbed the moisture on the river, causing her dried skin to burst. King Seqenen-Ra's mummy tells of a violent world which he left following a head wound sustained in battle. Amenhotep I, his grandson, is resting in a shroud adorned with flower garlands. Just like today, flowers were a token of love. The mummies tell us that the Egyptians set broken bones, performed amputations and suffered, like many of us, from arthritis. These silent messengers bear witness to a mastery of technology and an astonishing depth of knowledge. Nearby, I found another ancient marvel, a hollowed-out granite block, the ancients' coffin or sarcophagus. The surface was astonishingly smooth. Cleverly, they cut the lid from the same block. An amazing piece of expert craftsmanship and precision. It really makes you wonder. Working granite requires a lot of mechanical force, where we use pneumatic equipment. All the Egyptians needed was a simple yet nifty technique. The barren environment of the desert inspired the ancient Egyptians to create colourful images, be it for this life or the afterlife. In their world, flowers took on a special meaning. Records from 2200 BC show that it was in ancient Egypt where the first ornamental gardens were created, more than 1500 years before the fabled Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Solely a prerogative of royalty, some say the ancient gardens were an expression of the god king's might, so powerful he could grow flowers where nature did not. But the ancients saw more in them. They were an image of rebirth and regeneration, tokens of love and worship for the passage from this life to the afterlife. Placed with the mummies inside their coffins, flowers were believed to protect them for an eternity, and granite, so they believed, provided the ultimate insurance. On the Mohs scale of 1 to 10, granite is a 7, making it at least as hard as steel. Just how they were able to hollow out a piece of rock this hard was a question for ancient technology expert Dennis Stock.
The bit here, how's this level here? Oh yes, you've got to have nothing but admiration for them.
So they've got it exactly right.
Absolutely right. So the blocks are level.
But that wasn't enough. For the pyramid to remain stable,
The old levelling tool again,
Our old friend.
the rods and string.
Yes.
You place your end on that block there, and I'll try this block here. And we'll try your block first with the testing rod. Oh,
So that's
brilliant.
pretty good, isn't it? Pretty perfect.
That's
yeah.
good there, but this is... And they seem pretty level with each other.
How did they keep them so level?
Well, they had to use a means of testing them. So we'll test them and see how good they are. Let's use...
Horizontal, like a surface of water.
Yeah, in fact, we can use the surface of water to check that the frame is accurate. And we do this by marking a line behind the hanging plumb line.
So if your measurement is flat, then this will always hang absolutely.
the blocks had to be horizontal. Dennis had brought another ancient tool.
Now, we can use this A-frame to check whether the block is truly horizontal.